Into the mounting yard for the Grand Hotel Frankston handicap for the 3-year-olds. This is a benchmark 70 over 1,200 metres, and looking at Brackenby at $3.80 out to $4 at the moment off a 130% market on course. It holds the call ahead of Secret Agenda, who only had the 2 career starts and was injured in its second start after making a terrific debut at Moonee Valley. He is at $4.20. Into the mounting yard we go, and we start with this colt by Lonhro for the Godolphin team, and the Godolphin team are in great form. John O'Shea is the trainer, Patrick Maloney with Maher.
Got his maiden out of the way in impressive fashion at Seymour before being spelled. Has trialled up very well in Sydney to resume here. Been at Flemington for a couple of weeks to acclimatise to the environment here. Resuming with the winkers off, lightly race galloper and typical of the Godolphin. He looks like he's got plenty of upside. We haven't seen the best of him yet.
And there's a bit of Lonhro about him, isn't he? Hasn't he certainly been stamped there? Maher is his name. Number 2 is Pearl Star. Support at a big price, $13 into 11 off 128% market. Matty Laurie's the trainer.
No doubt would be fitter for that first up run at Caulfield in a race that was dominated on speed by Petit Falou, but really didn't get into that race at any stage. So she would have needed to derive good benefit from that. No doubt fitness-wise she would, and the little step up in distance probably suits.
And Michael D is taking the ride there on Pearl Star, and Michael D in these last 25 Metro rides, 3 wins and 10 placings in outstanding form. 3's a scratching. Here's Brackenby, our favourite, at $4.20. Well, we know Pete Moody must have an opinion of him because his first up assignment was in the Group 3 Vane Stakes.
The race didn't pan out for him there. He was back behind a modest tempo and didn't really have clear galloping room. So under the circumstances, ran as well as he could. I'm sure he'll stretch out over further out to 1,1600 metres for sure. The little step up to 1,200 metres suits, and he ran as well as he could in a stronger race last start.
5 is a scratching. 6 is Destiny's Reward, who's solid in the market at $13. Darren Gauci takes the ride. They're both runs this preparation. Well, the first one was terrific, and there was excuses second start.
Just out wide on a day where you needed to be on speed at Moonee Valley, and it was just a forgetful race that was dominated on speed by Wellsprung, and unfortunately Destiny's Reward just kept getting pushed wider and was never able to get into the right spot. So very forgiving of that run. I'd actually put a pen through that, assessing the form going forward. The blinkers go on today.
There's plenty of high regard for number 7 here in Kraken, who returns at $13, hasn't raced since April.
Was good on debut at Warrnambool, really strong to the line at Warrnambool at 1,200 metres on debut. Resuming here as a gelding. Mark Zara and Darren Weir combining again as they did earlier in the day for a winner. And then the race didn't really pan out in the Rich Vobis Golding got race at Caulfield at only the second start. So turned out, resuming here as a gelding, and the only first up time we've seen him was on debut. He was really strong to the line at Warrnambool.
How good was Savatone's Echuca maiden win?
There was perhaps some hard luck stories back inside, but he had the momentum and he rolled to the line strongly, and certainly at 1,100 metres for a Savabeel you'd think he'd certainly stretch out longer. So there was good merit in that performance. He was very strong through the line, covering a little bit of ground, but had that unimpeded momentum.
Return to the races to number 9 here in Secret Agenda, $4 to $4.20. I remember the night that she made her debut for Blue Blood Thoroughbreds, and they thought they had a high-class 2-year-old on that occasion. They aimed her at the big races. Things didn't pan out, though.
No, but what we did see was an example of her level of ability on debut, and that's something that she hasn't lost. She's had that injury setback, and these recent jump outs and trials are a real indication that she's coming to hand nicely. It was a very fast trial behind Parcel recently, and wouldn't expect her to really truck along that quickly. And resuming here at 1,200 metres, you would think being trained to get over that little bit more ground. But I think the jump outs and trials have been encouraging, and the debut performance was outstanding.
And here's a relation to a quality mare and manageress trained by the Alderson team. Chris Parnham takes a ride for its debut, number 10, Rewarding Effort. Looks
a real good talent. He's still got a bit to learn. There's been mixed performances in his trials, but there's certainly been glimpses of really good level of ability. I think he's a horse that's probably going to be better for a racing preparation or two, but gee, on his one of his trials you'd say that he's really got a good level of ability.
Well, Bryce Hayes has been looking for dry tracks, and he's been coming to Melbourne with these lightly raced debutantes, lightly raced 3-year-olds I should be saying. We've seen a couple of them run really well. Here's the debutant called Spieth, who's 550 to 7.
very impressive in a recent trial, although modest time but sitting on the speed in a trial. And then when they turned into the straight, was asked to quicken, and it was almost like he didn't know what to do with his legs, but he quickened very nicely. And then when he balanced up, he had an explosive turn of foot. So there's an enormous amount of raw ability there. He'll no doubt learn from the experience of being at the races, but he looks like he's got well above average ability.
Second preparation for the striker. Filly number 12 was our last runner, who's at double figures. I'm surprised to see that price available for her first up, Andrioli.
I think the blinkers went on, and that seemed to be the key when she broke her maiden here at Sandown on the Lakeside Circuit, then spelled after her next run. She's had a couple of trials and jump outs, so I didn't think the blinkers were on that occasion. They were only modest trials, but without the blinkers on, they certainly might spark her up on race day. The best performance we've seen of her was here at the Lakeside track.
8 minutes away from race number 4, the Grand Hotel Frankston handicap over 1,200 metres. This is a benchmark 70 for the 3-year-olds. Your top 4 selection.
I think there'll be some good form to come out of the race, but I'm going with one mower. I loved his recent trial in Sydney, resuming here with the winkers off. Ahead of 4, Brackenby, nothing went right first up in the Vane Stakes. 9, Secret Agenda, resuming, and 11, Spieth. Looks like he's got great raw ability. 1, 4, 9, 11.
Let's have a look at the replay of Brackenby. First up assignment was the Vane Stakes, and as we highlight him, he's horse number 6 in this replay. He's sitting third last. Now keep in mind that the horse that wins this Vane Stakes is Gold Symphony, who's sitting third at the moment, and just on the outside of Brackenby is Demonstrate. Now Demonstrate was really unlucky. Now Gold Symphony came out at the McNeil and won, and Demonstrate ran third, narrowly beaten. So there's terrific form around Brackenby here.
And importantly, there was no speed up front, so horses from back in the field had little or no chance of making ground because the horses on the speed were able to give a kick. So be able to maybe pick up and find the line as well as he did alongside there in crowded galloping room and behind Gold Symphony, certainly wasn't allowed to be extended the way you'd like him to be.
That's right. That is Brackenby, who is not the favourite anymore. The favourite is the Godolphin runner, which is Maher. $4.60, top fluck into $3.90. David Charles, representing the Godolphin team here in Melbourne, joins Campbell Brown.
Well, Maher didn't miss a placing in its autumn preparation. Came out and won its trial. Be pretty happy with where it's at the moment.
Yeah, look, he's been in Sydney and he's had a nice trial up there, and he trialled really well, and John was really happy with him, and he's done a great job with him up there in Sydney, and he's came down here and he's presented really well today.
Nominated for the Caulfield Guineas or 1,000 Guineas?
Yeah, like a lot of them, so we'll just start off with today and hopefully he can run really well.
All the best.
Thanks, Russ.
David Charles with Maher, who looks after the Godolphin team in Melbourne, and that's right, nominated for a Caulfield Guineas, Maher, and $4.60 into $3.80. He looks physically a treat, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's got that real Lonhro stamp about him, and the Godolphin horses are always very well conditioned and very well fed and really glowing first up. So he's certainly not really carrying a lot of his winter coat. He looks like he's ready for a spring campaign.
Well, over the last couple of weeks, Bryce Hayes has brought down some really impressive young horses. He brings a debutant to town in Melbourne, and that is Spieth. He joins Campbell.
Bryce have brought down 3 horses. Is this the best of them?
Look, he's on par. They're a different profile of horse and they're here for different assignments, and we need to get them underway somewhere. Probably the race is obviously a little bit deeper than I would have anticipated this time last week, but in saying that, he's in very good order. He's trialled well, and he's really pleased us.
What's the instructions you've given to the jockey?
It's his first day out. He's really got to learn. We're just got to learn from racing whether he's a dead set sprinter or whether he'll stretch out to a mile. Ideally, he'll obviously stretch out to a mile, and if he does so, we need to get things right today, and that's relax the first half of the race and really want to see him come late.
And you went down at the start of this year and bought the half-brother.
We did. So he showed us something from day dot, Spieth, and he's a great cut of a colt by Savabeel, so we didn't have any hesitation in picking him up.
Good luck.
We'll need it all. Thank you.
That's always a good indication of the opinion they've got, haven't they, when they go and pick up the half-brother before this one's even made its debut. Yeah,
and the team he's brought down, we've got Deadly Shadow, Boston Light and Spieth. He's got a real little boutique team down here settling into Flemington. He's basing at Flemington during the carnival, and he's certainly got some horses that look like they're capable of progressing to some really nice races.
Yeah, I haven't seen the acceptances yet for Moonee Valley. I'm keen to see Boston Light. I think his next assignment was going to be the Danehill at Flemington, and you're right, we saw it was only last week the other runner that you referred to there. I mean, lightly raced types, showing plenty. I think he's going to have a strong hand during the carnival if they can stand up.
Yeah, and as he said, all on different paths. Deadly Shadow probably getting out to longer type of races. Hopefully, Boston Light might be on a path toward the Coolmore. So, all things being well, in our 2 feature Group 1 races, the Caulfield Guineas and the Coolmore, he might be able to try and have runners in both races from a relatively small presence in Melbourne.
And don't we just see this time of the year that 2-year-old form of last season versus the improvement that some of them make as 3-year-olds? Exosphere just was magnificent in the run to the Rose on Saturday, and you think he's going to be the testing material for the likes of Vancouver towards some of the key races as they lead up towards the Bet Caulfield Guineas.
Yeah, similarly for the 1,000 Guineas and even for the Coolmore. I mean, horses like Petite Falou we haven't even heard of during the spring. They've only been unearthed in recent months, and she looks like a filly with great ability. And an Alaskan Rose you mentioned earlier on a path towards the 1,000 Guineas, and 3 weeks ago nobody had heard of her.
Race 4, let's get the latest odds. And it's the same scenario here on course. Maher is the big market mover, market at 117%. Gee, you'd be happy to have a $4.60 top fluctuation opening price ticket in your pocket.
That's significant support for a horse first up in a race that looks to have quite a bit of depth, but $4.60 into $3.50 from the Godolphin stable for Maher. That is significant support. Brackenby that little bit easy, $3.80 out to $5.50, but really it's been one-way traffic with Secret Agenda now touching $5.50 on course. One-way traffic, Maher $4.60 into $3.50.
Speed map point of view, it's hard to get a line on a couple of these that we've only seen, or 2 that we've never seen before under race conditions, and Savatone we've only seen once.
I would think at 1,200 metres first up, even though she's probably been trained for longer, Secret Agenda would probably hold a spot, because I don't think there's a defined leader like Jaffles in the previous, and I think Maher from the outside can probably come across. So I think the favoured runners, Maher, Secret Agenda and Spieth, probably can all find a relatively forward position if so desired.
Being smashed on course now, $4.60 into $3.30 on a 116% market. The punters have really come for the Godolphin colt by Lonhro. Let's go to our caller to call the action for the final leg of the early quaddie, race number 4. Here's Greg Miles.
Righto, Richard. Now there's the first starter, Spieth, going up into his place. Went through the New Zealand sale for $200,000. He's shown plenty of talent at the trials. Another first starter rewarding effort comes in after Manager is in the same stable. Moa moves up. He's been well tried, hasn't he? He's now into $3.30. Here's Andrioli coming up into her place. So Super Vobis and Vobis Gold bonuses here for Destiny's Reward and Kraken rewarding effort and Andrioli. Brackenby comes along. Field nearly ready to go. Moa from $4.60 into $3.30 and is $3.50 and $1.60 favourite on track. Kraken coming up. Mark Zara, who's won the previous 2.
Right, guys, get your gear
and they're nearly ready. The last one to come along will be Savatone. But Moa the heavily tried favourite. Spieth tightens up $7.50 to $6.50 at the jump. No money Brackenby, no money Secret Agenda here. All set. They're off. And Spieth got tightened at the start and he's gone back with Kraken and rewarding effort. And as they jump into stride now, Moa's around the middle of the field and it's Destiny's Reward with the blinkers on, going to the lead after 200. Brackenby to second, Secret Agenda third. Moa getting over, but he's just being pushed out 3 wide by Andrioli, kicking up in the middle. A length and a half Pearl Star, and they're followed by Spieth. A length and a half at the 800 metres. Then came Kraken in the all red colours, and they're being followed down the side. Then well back in the field is Sabatone, and at the end down before the home turn is Rewarding Effort. 500 left to go. Destiny's Reward led by about a neck. Bracken going up, and Moa's had no luck. He's been 3 wide all the way, but challenges. They're 2 lengths in front of Secret Agenda over on the fence, and then Andrioli. Spieth swung the corner a bit wide. He is starting to work home though. Destiny's Reward with Secret Agenda going for a needle-eye gap. Brackenby wider out. Moa's feeling the pinch a little bit after the hard run, and Secret Agenda's dashed through on the inside. Secret Agenda now from Brackenby, and Spieth winding up on the outside. He's really motoring. Secret Agenda in front near the line though, and beats Spieth by a length. Brackenby third, and close up getting home Sabatone for fourth. Rewarding Effort made some ground also. Closely followed by Pearl Star, Andrioli. Knocking up after that very hard run was Moa. Back towards the end in company with Destiny's Reward, and one of the last in out wide on the course there was Kraken.
Well, congratulations to everyone involved in this filly Secret Agenda, whether it be everyone from an ownership point of view and Blue Blood Thoroughbreds, and Mick Price, who's nursed her back from a very significant injury as a 2-year-old filly. And then Craig Newitt gave her a sweet run. She showed enough speed. She camped in behind him. That's been the recipe today. And then just when Craig was thinking about getting outside and over the heels of the leader, a gap appeared, burst through on the inside, and well, she has returned a winner. And there's a lot to like with her. Ditto, a lot to like with the debut performance of Spieth. Bryce Hayes has got 3 really promising young 3-year-olds. He's been patient with them. He'll be rewarded this spring. Spieth makes a terrific debut, and Brackenby, for its second up assignment, does a solid job as well. I think we should follow this race, Warren. 9, 11, 4 and 8.
Yeah, Destiny's Reward going forward with the blinkers on, and Craig Newitt just getting able to get in that lovely spot behind. And then, as you mentioned, Destiny's Reward just laying out a little bit in the straight in tiring, and the gap was there for Craig. He didn't need to look for runs outside and incur any traffic issues, but really epitomises the amount of work that goes into getting these horses back to the races with the injury that Secret Agenda had sustained, and being nursed back through the stable, through trials and jump outs, would be very rewarding for all connections to know that they've got her back in great order today.
That's right. She made her debut, and it was a stylish debut at Moonee Valley as a 2-year-old filly. They dreamed the dream. They thought that she could win the Blue Diamond. She was eligible for the Magic Millions. They decided not to go with that way. They put her out for a spell. She came back. She was an early Blue Diamond favourite. And in the preview, she sustained a significant injury. So well done to Mick Price. He's our winning trainer. He's nursed her back to health, and he comes back a winner.
Mick, what a return from injury that was.
Yeah, sure was. I thought she was still a bit tubby. She had one soft trial, one reasonable trial, but I suppose the advantage of drawing the inside gate and being able to just put her there and do no work. And look, she's a really smart filly, and she carried herself through in that race. Got some nice plans for her in stakes races coming, but just happy to kick her off here, and more the horse's ability that got her the win rather than being trained specifically first up for anything.
And didn't nominate her for the 1,000 guineas?
I'm just going to keep her sprinting. She doesn't give me the impression that she's 1,600 metre horse, so as long as we can achieve stakes races for her, it should be a valuable broodmare. And it's only start number 3 for her. She's got the spring in front of her, and she should improve a lot. You see half a winter coat and a little bit of belly on her, so I expect her to improve a fair bit out of today.
Well, if she improves from there, she'll have a massive spring.
She will indeed. Yeah, thanks very much.
Congrats.
Craig Newitt, the winning rider, he's just about to weigh in, and the 360th win for the Price Newitt combination. That's an achievement. They've been together a long time, and they've done that with a terrific strike rate. Let's hear from the winning rider, Craig Newitt.
Froggy, great ride, good win. You won't want to jump off her anytime soon.
No, she's highly promising. It's the first time we've actually sat on her back. Haven't had much to do with her, but lucky she's only small. She's not your size. She squeezes it through a narrow gap, and yeah, she's got plenty of upside.
Yeah, Mick was just saying, still had the winter coat, and looked a little bit tubby. She could do plenty.
Yeah, look, she was always going to get a nice run from the gate, which was ideal, because we thought she might have been a little bit underdone today, but she was good enough to overcome that, and she's got a bright future.
Congrats, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Craig Newitt, the winning rider for Carol Walsh and her team there at Blue Blood Thoroughbreds, and the That would give them a lot of satisfaction. They thought so much of her as a 2-year-old. That'd be probably a relief to get her back, and to get her back in one piece, but then to get back a win's a big bonus.
Yeah, well, early days, I think Fontaton and Secret Agenda were the two standout performances from the 2-year-olds early days, and that justified the positions in pre-post markets leading into the Blue Diamond. And first up at 1200 metres, that's a terrific training performance.
Yeah.
Mick Price mentioning that barriers and running transit make a difference, but still a lot of work's gone back in to be able to do that, and the horse still has to be able to capitalise on that opportunity. And Craig Newitt being able to take that inside run certainly played its part, and Spieth terrific down the outside on debut.
As we have a look at the head-on vision, their winner is second from the right in the blue colours, is about to go forward and take a position, and Brackenby's going to come across, and I suppose that the horse that in the end, because Spieth kicks up inside Maher ends up being, or Andrioli ends up kicking up inside Maher ends up being posted. It's probably a forgive job.
Yeah, in the shuffle up there, the Godolphin Blue 3 wide there on the speed has probably got dealt the worst hand there with